I think Rod Richardson also sent in a letter following up on the Cartwright Island issue. You didn't receive it? Okay, I received it. I got it late before I came here. I didn't make the previous meeting, the executive meeting, because I had work to do, but I ran home to change. Checked the email. I saw the letter. I didn't know I was supposed to bring it. I thought maybe he had brought it, but maybe we can address it next time. Has anybody made any inquiries? I'm sure he'd like to know.
I spoke with Steve Warner at the East Hampton Library. He's been doing some research on it. He did find a lease deed dated back from 1915, I believe, where the Gardners leased their land, and it clearly states for hunting purposes to a McKay individual, Mackey. And it clearly did state in that lease back from 1915 the lands of Gardner Island and Ram Island, which is now known as Cartwright Shoals.
Can we, I know a lot of this
Back to
issue,
something that he found reference of ownership,
a lot of this issue.
Claim of ownership.
claim of ownership.
I spoke to the state, and the gentleman who was the director, much like Kim Shore is here, but he's the state guy. He said that he felt what he was looking at, Cartwright, Shoal, or Island, was owned partially by the town of East Hampton, state, and closest to Gardner's Island. But he said you'd have to refer back to the original deed, or as far back as you could get.
Yeah.
For something a little more definitive.
Was yours a document?
Yeah.
Is there any way we can get a copy?
The library has it.
The library has that?
We need to go back well beyond that.
But he's
That's
going,
not-
yeah, but that just
something.
applies,
Yeah,
such a deed, but he's doing
You
more
know, I'm
research.
just thinking
It's
because
just gonna take some time.
I just know that a lot of this issue has to do with, nobody producing a document of evidence.
Well, the documents that
I
the
often
documents
feel
that
like
I've,
Rod would comply to whatever the reality is, but he just wants to be shown that reality is in fact reality.
the original documents, the patents that I've looked at, don't show any references to some of the claims that are being made. So it's very unclear, based on the historical documents that were issued.
And I might add, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is a movable sandball.
Sure.
I mean,
It's mobile, right?
It's a very tricky issue.
They want to keep people off the island, that, in my opinion, that's the bottom line. And they see that as a way on to the island, I guess, at a certain point, at low tide, I don't know.
I had.
Might be more recent issues, payment of taxes, adverse possession type issues.
Yeah.
I had read or heard that possibly they've been paying the taxes on that property for some time now, so it goes back historically, and there's recent issues as well, depending on adverse type claims, other property.
Yeah, I've only seen the historical documents.
Yeah, so it needs a full review for somebody that's qualified. Maybe we look to engage somebody like the librry gentleman that is expert in this.
I don't even know if, is it our responsibility to produce some evidence to somebody, to a person that's requesting?
Well, Rod believes, he believes it's state land, so
Not really our
he should
purview.
really be trying to figure it out.
Well, I
then.
think-
Go through the process.
I had a conversation with a local attorney who's a scholar of trustee history, and his feeling is that it belongs to the Gardners, and he certainly says it absolutely belongs to them geologically, because it comes from the island. But his reading of the patent, he believes.
It
would seem to me to fall upon whoever is charging this gentleman with trespassing to prove they own the property.
Yeah, and I think, is that a matter of
Yeah.
this court case?
Right.
He's been arrested.
Probably
Right.
will be.
And he's gonna defend
And
himself.
he's-
And if it
So the
goes-
burden of proof is
No,
going to be
Now-
on
now-
the arresting
Now,
party.
what's that phrase?
The public trust doctrine comes into this too,
Right.
which is in English common law, it was actually English common law before the Magna Carta. So it would have applied to the gardener's deed. And that holds that the land between low water and high water is held in a public trust irregardless of ownership. The public may walk on
Well,
that
that's why,
property.
that's why your deeds, even if you have like sort of beach rights, it's only to the mean high water.
Right.
That's as far as they.
I mean, I
as far as
understand
they go.
there's an issue of protecting it for a sanctuary purpose, perhaps a nesting area and whatnot, but you have to kind of balance that with access rights, if it does so imply.
You know,
And unfortunately, you're gonna have to rely on, you know, if we do find and allow public access, we're gonna have to rely on, I hate to use this word, common sense, to have people say, look, you have the right, but
But,
we really would appreciate it if, you know, and then there comes the issue, do we have to put signs up to make you realize that
we
we're kind of
can't
serious
even, we
about it?
can't even get people to use common sense in littering and not littering
Well,
on our beaches.
that was my
How
whole.
are we gonna get them to
well, you
Well,
know,
that
use
was
common
that's where I
sense
threw
to
in the
not
sarcasm.
endanger
there
the
might be,
wildlife?
there might be an example on Gull Island, because that's an established sanctuary that's been monitored by the Museum of Natural History for decades.
Right.
And I'm sure they somehow control the access to the island, so there may be some legal precedents there.
Right.
It's also hard to get
And
on that
honestly,
island.
if the Gardner family owns
The current and the
Cartwright,
rocks.
it would be a very convenient way then of addressing this problem.
It'll be an interesting discussion as it
I just,
progresses.
I appreciate you talking about it a little bit, because I know, you know,
important.
he'll probably be concerned. I'm not in correspondence with him. I just know from this email, he said he wasn't gonna make it.
Right.
He had this letter, so I'm sure he wants to keep the conversation going.
Yeah. Well,
We
no,
can do that.
But if it's.
It's
if
an interesting
not a-
conversation.
It is interesting, but if it's not in our. If it's not in, for our wheelhouse,
review.
and we have more important, you know.
Oh,
things to
no.
do.
No, I mean, nothing says we
interesting,
can't
you know,
support the inquiry.
Right, good,
Yeah.
because you know, members like organizations like CFAR are also very curious about
Yeah.
the results from this, as I think we are, and maybe the public as
But I
well.
would think one of the big issues on all this access stuff is, you know, what about the sanctuary nature? I mean, like
What
you
about the
said,
wildlife?
you know, you may have the right, but, you know, how
Is
do
it-
you balance the needs of the, you know, the wildlife with
Unintended
people's
consequences.
desires to go anywhere they possibly can?
Anybody see the story of that bird sanctuary? I think it was in Arkansas, where the people went in and they spent the day and they chased all the birds off and they took the eggs out of the nests, thousands of eggs, and decorated the beach with them. Killed them all.
common sense.
And then that's how stupid people are.
Okay.
I remember Alfred Hitchcock with the birds, that was kind of scary.
All right, on that note.
Sent a letter to Lori's email at 4 p.m. today,
That's okay, we'll,
and you asked
we'll
it to
do it
be
next
read in
week,
the
next
record, but
meeting.
we'll read it next week, okay?
yeah.
We'll make a motion.
I'm sorry about that.
Second.
All in favor?
Good night, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.